The version of me 20 years ago wanted to be somebody. I wanted to achieve things. I wanted to stand out. But what I didn't realize was that I was already somebody. I wasn't going to stop being me if I stopped chasing more.
Your business, your rules. Grow a business that works for you. This is the HerBusiness podcast.
So I just returned from an incredible trip to Crete. I went with a small group of women business owners. This was one of our HerBusiness Trailblazers locations. And each year we take women business owners to locations around the globe where they can have business conversations away from the day-to-day. They can refocus. They can look at what they want next in their life and business. And it was fabulous. We were in Greece after all, so there was turquoise seas. There were salty breezes coming in as we wined and dined. We walked through villages that have literally been standing for thousands of years. And between culture and hiking and business and nature and consuming more seafood than one person could ever consume, we tried. We were in this stunning place. We're in this place where beauty and history and culture come together. And here we were, successful business owners, each one of us successful in our own way, having built something we're truly proud of, all with this underlying feeling like we wanted more, that what we had was not enough. Despite the success, despite the years and years of combined experience, despite having the ability to step away from our business and take this whole week to pause and breathe, there was this struggle, the struggle of knowing what's enough. And that's what we're talking about here today. We're diving into why, as business owners, we need to plan from a place of enoughness rather than simply striving for more. I'm Susie Daphnis. I'm the CEO at HerBusiness, and you are listening to the HerBusiness podcast. I'm so glad you're listening today, whether you are out on a jog, whether you're walking the dog, listening as you get ready, taking a quick break from your office to grab a couple of bites to eat, whatever you're doing, whatever kind of business you have, I know that you will benefit from the discussion that we are having today. Because today we're talking about the difference between striving for more and more and actually striving for enough. Because those two motivators can get conflicted in our minds, yet the one you choose to live your life by and run your business by is going to get you a very different outcome from the other. Now, most of us learn to strive for more. We're motivated, we're ambitious, we're likely to be go-getters forever because we're entrepreneurs. So we naturally believe that striving for more is better. More clients, more products and services, more likes, more follows, more email addresses on our database, etc. But striving for more can actually come from a place of proving that we're good enough, pushing ourselves to prove that we're smart enough, overworking ourselves and saying yes to everything to prove that we are capable enough. So this behaviour can often be fueled by comparison and by external validation and what others are doing, and a little bit by fear. And we live our lives and we run our businesses with this more mindset, which can feel like it's a moving target. I need more clients, I need more revenue, I need more achievements. And no matter how many of those you reach, and you will likely reach them, it doesn't always feel satisfying because there is always more. There's always another goal or achievement or higher revenue number that we could be hitting. There's always some hurdle that we could jump over just to prove ourselves more. But how long can we keep running after these targets? How long can you keep jumping those hurdles if they're constantly moving, constantly reappearing? And here's the worst part. What happens when a marketing campaign goes wrong or the market changes or you lose a client or your financial year is not as good as the last and you don't achieve more? I'm using air quotes here. What can happen is we fall into a heap feeling like we failed because we didn't outperform our previous efforts. But what if instead of striving for more, you decided to strive for enough? And what do I mean by enough? I mean just the right amount, and I'll explain this further. So no more, no less. Enough is quieter, it's more powerful. Striving for enough is about being aligned with what really matters to you right now. And it's about disregarding the external expectations that we've learned about what success is, but instead knowing, deeply understanding what your version of success looks like. Now, striving for enough doesn't mean you're playing a smaller game. It doesn't mean you're muting yourself or downplaying what you could be doing and achieving. It's about understanding what actually makes you feel happy, what you need. Because when you know what your version of success is, enough becomes a filter and a tool. It helps you say no to distractions and yes to what is truly important. So rather than running and jumping and racing to that next goal, you're moving towards what you've determined is enough, where you've set the boundaries of this is what I want. And what happens is you feel more peace, you have more confidence in your decisions, and most importantly, you have more joy in your day-to-day. That is the difference between the business owner who is striving for more and more and more to feel successful versus the business owner who is striving for what they've determined is enough. And I've played in both camps. 20 years ago, I was all about more. In my 30s, I was on a mission to prove myself. I wanted to be respected. I wanted to make more money than I could have ever imagined. I wanted to be somebody. So I chased what I thought success was. I said yes to everything. I pushed myself to the limit. I ran, I jumped, I achieved a lot. But was I also exhausted? Was I also not having fun along the way sometimes? Was I also caught up in thinking that the next financial milestone, if I could just get there, or the next award, if I could just win it, would bring me joy? Yes, I was. Now, I don't want to downplay what we created. I'm proud of what I did, and I often had a great time doing it. But I was coming from this place of thinking I needed year on year, campaign on campaign, to do more. And over time, I've realized that I wasn't fulfilled by always doing more, but I was fulfilled by doing the right things. So I didn't need to have more and more and more offers. I didn't need more and more and more clients. I didn't need more and more people on my database. I needed to be doing the right things, the things that were right for me. And I discovered that certain things lit me up. Other things dragged me down. And I finally understood that I felt more fulfilled when I was actually making an impact, when I was actually making a difference to someone else. And I told you just a minute ago that the version of me 20 years ago wanted to be somebody. I wanted to achieve things. I wanted to stand out. But what I didn't realize was that I was already somebody. I wasn't going to stop being me if I stopped chasing more, if I made different decisions, and neither will you. And what I find when I'm talking about enoughness with women business owners is that we can associate enough with settling, because that's kind of the cultural context of the word enough. It can indicate lack of or somehow be negative. But knowing what enough is doesn't mean you're getting the consolation prize. So we have to reframe this thinking. Not only is it okay to have enough, but it's powerful. It's a statement that you have set clarity around your boundaries. And striving for enough doesn't mean you are striving for less than. It means being connected to what truly matters to you and making decisions that support your version of a good life. That's where your peace lives. That is where your creativity has the space to flow. That is where you stop living by someone else's expectations and definitions. So today, as you are jogging or eating lunch or getting ready for your day, wherever you are right now, ask yourself where the idea that you have to do more, be more, have more comes from. Where does that come from for you? Now, I know that we are all told at a young age to strive to be our best, to achieve, to be excellent in school, to tick the boxes, to be helpful and capable and kind and generous and responsible. And we become an adult and we take those expectations into our businesses. Scale faster, grow your audience bigger. Are you showing up enough? Are you visible enough? You feel tired? Well, too bad, because you just have to work harder if you want to keep up to your peers. And then as women, we have these added layers of the pressure to strive for more in business without dropping any other balls. Be a great leader, be a great boss, be a great marketer, but also be a great partner and a great mum and a daughter and a great sister and a great friend. And it's exhausting. More becomes our default in every aspect of life. It's just baked into our culture. So the idea of slowing down or determining what enough is, it can feel risky. It can feel like defeat. But the truth is, the pace that we have expected of ourselves just isn't sustainable. I'm seeing that every day as women are coming to me saying, Susie, I am on my edge. I don't know what to do. I'm just getting burnt out and I'm not loving my business anymore. And that is impacting my life. So that space is not when we do our best work. I don't know about you, but my best ideas didn't happen when I was going full tilt, pushing myself past my limits. They happened when I paused and I was so still that I could actually hear my desires. They happened when I was rested enough to feel creative. They happened when I felt inspired. They happened when I was feeling joy and happiness. So check in with yourself. That's what I make myself do regularly. I ask myself, is what I'm doing aligned? Is this product or service right? Is this type of client right for me? Is this schedule right for me? Is this new event that I want to run right for me? Is this sustainable? Is this enough? And because of those check-ins, I feel clearer and calmer and more connected to my values than I ever have. I feel more successful now, even though if you were looking from the outside in, you'd think, she's doing less. Because I am meeting the criteria of success on my terms. Now, I know that can be difficult to do. I totally get it. Because we have been trained to outperform ourselves from year on year. You made 500,000 last year, you better top that this year. You made 2 million this year, you better do better next year. You got how many people into your promotion? Great. Well, the next time, surely you're going to go for doing better. And so it can feel a little guilty when we finally decide to play by our rules. But hey, the tagline of this show is our tagline for a reason. The tagline is your business, your rules. This is your business. You get to play by your rules. So let's get into how do we do that? How do we shift from a default following the crowd setting of more to striving what is enough for us? So I'm going to give you some questions. I'm going to put these in the show notes. So if you don't have somewhere to write right now or type into right now, don't worry. They'll be on the show notes page and I'll give you the details later. But let me give you the questions. What do you want to feel more of next year? So we are ending 2025. So this is a perfect time to ask yourself, what do you want to feel more of next year? Not do more of, feel more of. Next question, what does spaciousness look like in your work and in your life? Where could you do less but go deeper? And how might that look in your business to actually do less? Maybe you do fewer campaigns. Maybe you work with fewer clients. Maybe you do fewer social posts, right? Maybe you deliver less, but you go deeper. Maybe you have fewer offers. And what does an ideal day, week, a month look like for you? And what would a really good year, a year that honours your values, the person you've become, the life you want, what does that look like? And as you're thinking about what the ideal day, week, month, year looks like, remember to write down what it doesn't look like, because I bet that's going to give you some clues too. These are the questions I'm asking myself as well as I go into 2026, and I encourage you to answer them too. They are going to help me resist the pull to overload my calendar or to chase goals that aren't truly mine, that aren't aligned. My goals last year, they're not going to be my goals next year. I've changed, things have changed. I want to do things differently. It's not going to be a cut and paste. But as well as asking and answering these questions, there is a second step. And that is to take some action. So there's value in asking yourself these questions. That is a start. But how do you actually integrate those into your business and your life? The first thing you want to do is make space. If there's one thing I've learned in over 30 years as a business owner, is that space doesn't just happen. It doesn't create itself in our business. There will always be something to take your time. So you have to create the space. For me, that means putting white space in my calendar, not as an afterthought, not later, not as a reward for completing work. It's intentional, it's a priority. The white space goes in first before anything else. And so I take regular CEO days to zoom out and reconnect with my vision. And I do that in a way that supports my energy and doesn't work against it. And so what if you took one morning this week and you cleared your schedule of all meetings, or perhaps you got up a little earlier and you took a few hours just to envision, just to plan? And what you might plan is where the white space is going to go into your schedule. How do you make these CEO days, this CEO time, space for you? Now, I work with our members to create space in their calendar for them to meet with me on a quarterly basis around their strategic plan, to put space in their calendar to connect with other business owners and have a sounding board, space in their calendar to work on their budget for the next year, space in their calendar to plan the year ahead. That's something we're doing in just a few days as this recording comes out. And you start making white space a habit, not only, within a structure like working with me at HerBusiness, but in your own life. And you want to protect that time fiercely. You're going to be amazed by the clarity and the creativity that comes when you aren't rushing to the next thing, but you're actually giving yourself time to pause. One of the methods that I use is what we call the clear week. It's something I do every month. Now, I am not meditating on a mountain for 7 days of every month. I am still working, But in those weeks, I don't do any client-facing work. Instead, I focus in on planning, on systems, on team communication, on briefing upcoming programs and campaigns. And while I'm still working in those clear weeks, I also, in those weeks, I schedule in time for my personal goals and things I want. So, for example, I build my personal travel plan about a year in advance, whether I'm going down to the south coast of New South Wales or whether we're going to have an overseas trip or whether I'm travelling to attend a mastermind I belong to. Those things go in my calendar, but so do things that contribute to what a mentor of mine referred to as my life resume. We keep checking boxes on achievements in business that make up our business resume or our career resume. What about our life resume? What are the things that you want to look back on your life and go, I did that? So this year, I trained and completed my first marathon. And putting that on my calendar at the beginning of the year had me aware that I needed to leave my office early multiple times during the week to go and run or go to the gym because I needed to do that physical training in order to achieve the goal I had. In 2026, I'm putting another physical event, an endurance hike, on my schedule because I want that to be part of my life resume. And what I know is by mapping that out, I know that the training that I'm going to have to do in order to be successful at that event is going to require me to spend some time out of the office during the week to train. So physical goals like these work for me, but for you it could be an artistic goal or it could be some other creative goal. Remember, everything that we're doing away from our computer impacts our business. These creative endeavors, whether you want to go salsa dancing or whether you want to go to yoga or whether you want to learn another language or whether you want to learn macrame or whether you want to do a degree in after hours, all that is going to require you to have the space to do that. And so I want you to put that into your calendar now. So think about what's going to bring you joy that has nothing to do with business. Because as I said, those external hobbies and goals, they are intertwined with your business. Everything I did to prepare for the marathon, the grit, the consistency, the training, the relying on a team and asking for support, all that fed right into my business and my effectiveness as a business owner. So what is going to support you, especially if one of your goals is to not to do more but to do better, if you want to be more leveraged next year, I really encourage you to think about enough as not being opposite to being ambitious. Because I know that you're ambitious, you're a business owner. I bet you pride yourself on being ambitious. I know I do. And here's what I want you to know. Choosing enough, choosing what your time and space looks like doesn't mean you're not ambitious. It means that your ambition is focused, it's honed. I would argue that real ambition, the kind that turns into long-term success, requires the discipline of saying, this is enough. This is what I'm going to do. Because otherwise you burn out and you're burning out chasing things that don't actually matter. So enoughness, knowing what that is for you, isn't the antithesis of ambition. It is actually your ambition redefined. And it allows you to delineate between what is worth your time and what is not. So I want you to answer one more question. I'm full of questions today. What does enough look like for me right now in business and life? In how I spend my time? That's going to help you identify what am I doing too much of? Where could I actually let go? Remember, you are defining your version of success. And remember what it feels like to strive for more versus what it feels like to strive for enough. Enough being just the right amount of everything that you wish for yourself. Not coming from a point of lack, coming from a point of being really decisive. Knowing who you are now, knowing what you want. It doesn't mean you can't continue to grow and push and improve. It just means that you are choosing to grow and improve in the direction that is right for you. And in this episode, my goal has been to talk about really the heart of this idea of enoughness, about deciding to change how you view success. But next week, we're going to get into the logistics, the specifics. Next week, I'll be releasing an episode about how you can actually plan your 2026 around this concept. And we're going to get into the details of how you can organize your campaign, your marketing, your team, your offers in a way that aligns with your goals, breaking it down from the whole year to what you might do in any quarter to what projects you might work on, etc. So I hope you'll tune in next week for the more practical side of this conversation. And remember the questions I asked earlier, we're going to outline those over on our show notes page, and you'll find that over at herbusiness.com/334. Now, of course, as I said, we're doing this sort of work inside of the Her Business community all the time. So if you feel like this is something that you want more attention on in the new year, then head on over to herbusinessnetwork.com and get the details for joining us. Now, one of our members has got a really interesting business. It's a family-owned business called Black Garlic & Co. They're in West Australia, and they use black garlic, which is made from organic garlic from the Margaret River, to make these beautiful premium black garlic products. And all of their products use incredible ingredients, and where possible they source them from local producers. They're a multi-award winning small business. Now, she recently listened, her name is Dion. Sorry, Dion, I should say your name. And she recently listened to an episode that I did with my friend Susan Bradley. And the episode was called Want More Sales? Do These 3 Things Every Month. And Deanna listened to it. She didn't just listen to it. She said this. She said, love this podcast. Thank you so much for doing it with Susan Bradley. I'm going to make my hubby Julian listen to it. Exactly what I needed. So Dion, I hope hubby Julian listened to it and that you were both able to take something away. And it is a great episode. If you haven't listened to it, if you're new to the show, I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes as well. And if you enjoyed this episode, do me a favour, leave us a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the show, or you can send us a direct message on Instagram or anywhere you see us on the socials to tell us that you enjoyed this episode or that you enjoyed the show. Now, once again, on our website at herbusiness.com/334, you're going to find a summary of today's episodes, links to resources we've discussed, and the questions that I asked you earlier. And if you're new to the show, be sure to hit follow or subscribe wherever you're listening so that you get next week's episode. Hey, join me next time right here on the Her Business podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Bye for now.